As we fastly approach the release of Daredevil Born Again, I thought now would be a better time than ever to revisit one of the most iconic and memorable parts of the original 3-season run, in being its action, and choosing one sequence to talk about why I think it works so well.
The whole premise of that fight is our styles rely on proximity. He needs to be far away from me and use his ability to pick up things and use his precision to hurt me. I need to be up close. I need to get in there. I need to bridge that gap so that he can't do those things. And so the whole sequence is based on that premise. So,
who are you? I'm Daredevil.
Throughout Daredevil Season 3, Dex is manipulated heavily by Wilson Fisk, weaponizing him. He's a person with incredible experience and ability, and we've been shown that from the very start. But he's also a character who suffers with BPD, and by subduing the kind of noise in Dex's head, Fisk has become a figure that Dex learns to trust and almost rely on. He becomes his North Star. It does an excellent job at putting us in Dex's shoes and making him a believable but also very understandable character in the writing, acting and overall execution of what he's going through. The show uses his senses to build how he feels and the chaos that swirls in his head 24/7. Fisk uses Dex's internal rage and streamlines all that noise for his own personal gain, but to Dex's knowledge, and as far as he knows, he thinks that he's finally found purpose. Dex is an extremely vulnerable character, and Fisk capitalizes on it. Even on the low budget, the action was just incredible. It looked great from a choreography and stunt standpoint, from the visuals, like the actual camera work, the lighting, it was all impeccable. And so, when wanting to talk about a specific action scene, it's not easy to narrow down. Any of the hallway fights, his brawl with the Punisher, the battle in the church, there are so many, but I thought I'd choose this one from Season 3, Episode 6. The first encounter between Matt and Dex, or Bullseye.
Daredevil.
How dare you stand where he stood?
Where Dex dons the horns in Fisk's attempt to defame not just the vigilante, but the idea of Daredevil. As their conversation back in Season 1 went, it's not his skills that make him dangerous, it's what he stands for, what he represents. Leading up to the actual fight, we had well established the stakes. Matt has been on the path of Daredevil more than Matt Murdock, distancing all relationships to commit to the goal of taking down Fisk, one way or another. And in this episode, he's willing to go there at the cost of his freedom, his life, he's willing to hand himself in. But even here, this scene of Foggy and Matt, we see his humanity, it's still there. Matt gives Foggy a new wallet after stealing his old one, and simply being honest with him again. He's able to laugh, he's able to smile. Despite his attempts, he can't refrain, he can't stop caring about Foggy and Karen and those around him. As Jasper Evans is at the Bulletin, ready to make public how Fisk got out, because basically he was the one who stabbed Fisk in prison, as Fisk told him to do so and let him out in return. But obviously that's how Fisk got out. So this was the smoking gun to take Fisk down if it all came together. But obviously, Fisk was one step ahead. As all of this is being set up though, there's no triumphant music, there's no triumphant feeling at all. A key element is the lack of music. No indication of how we're supposed to feel. So that automatically makes us feel unsettled. When we get to Karen starting the interview, we get our first rumbles of music before the power goes out in the Bulletin. It's a great setting for the fight, for actual practicality and visuals, but also we know this is one of the only news outlets that isn't ran by Fisk. And it's funny because in one of the newspapers in the background you can actually see that it says to like this video and subscribe, but we immediately understand that the Bulletin is under threat here. Karen's there, Foggy is now on the way. Dex forces his way through the Bulletin, and after Foggy had ran up there trying to see what had gone on, Dex, already there, tries to take out Foggy, but Matt's humanity shines through again as he arrives just in time to catch the baton, now knowing that he's got the same suit as Daredevil. It's a brilliant moment, it's badass, it's cool, and it shows that no matter what, Matt can't refrain from putting his friends before anything, even if he tries to. And so now, Matt is faced with a mirror held up to him, as he was the season prior. If Matt was guided by the wrong people, he would be much closer to Dex. And so, as Matt questions who Dex is, he responds saying Daredevil, and the fight commences. The music kicks in, and immediately, as they charge to each other, the fighters are presented very differently. We see the boxer and the brawler in Matt opposed to the cleaner, more tactical effort of the FBI agent Dex. The camera movement is brilliant as always. There's so much in camera, and whilst it's not a whole one-er sequence, we linger on shots a lot. We're not quickly cutting every few seconds. Even when there's a lot of movement, the camera is panning throughout. It's very fluid movements and keeps that high octane energy, keeps us flowing without having to cut and be disorientating. The stakes are really well crafted, knowing that if Dex gets past Matt, they're set even further back in their efforts to take down Fisk, as well as potentially Foggy and Karen's death. This sequence showcases some of the best use of Dex's almost superhuman accuracy. Early on, he establishes distance, and I think he sees that that's his best shot. Hand to hand, they are evenly matched, for sure, but at a distance, Dex is far and away the better fighter. As soon as that distance is made, he keeps it incredibly effectively. We see here, as Matt reaches for a pen, he's immediately caught, and I love how resourceful they both are throughout this entire sequence. Using different office appliances, it's just a lot of fun, and it varies the fight scenes. No fight scene throughout any of these 3 seasons feel the same. But just using casual objects as harsh weaponry, especially Dex, who has that insane accuracy. They're both so resourceful. Dex obviously has the Daredevil suit and weaponry, but Matt knows that well, so he knows how to fight against that, but Dex is so resourceful with anything around him. He can make use of a pen, of a key, he can turn anything into an accurate weapon. Dex is an expert at making the entire environment he's in a lethal asset. Matt grabs a chair in his own defense, but still gets a monitor absolutely chucked with incredible force, sending him flying. The sound design and camera work really add to the impact of Bullseye's target ability and the pain that it inflicts and the force. The quick whip pans that really hit hard on the impact. When Dex throws that cricket ball and it directly smashes into Matt's face and Charlie Cox's shocked yell. Dex's attention to any movement is just as on point as his actual aim, to the point that he can keep Matt stuck in a corner. The composition and blocking does a great job at showing him enclosed as well at Dex's will, cornered. We can't see past the wall that Matt's cowering behind, and when Matt tries to leave, Dex is there waiting, ready. And he's got the speed to stop him from getting anywhere. At this point, Matt has been made well aware at Dex's key strengths, and so he uses his own knowledge to distract him briefly to get back in close. And again, when the sequence does cut, it's cut to perfection. It makes things feel impactful and constantly puts Matt on the back foot. And this would carry on throughout their future fights. Even when Matt gets up close, naturally his attacks end up putting Dex at a distance, which only helps Dex in the long run. His ability to recover and quick thinking mixed with his accuracy keeps Matt struggling for any control. Matt catches the snow globe and we think, finally, Matt's realised Dex's strengths and he's figuring out how to kind of counter it. But then immediately, Dex smashes it with a pen and Matt is forced to run through more cover. Dex continues firing different weapons despite Matt's attempts to counter. But the damage that he's already taken and Dex's simply unmatched resourcefulness ends up with Matt taking scissors to the chest and getting a whole metal shelf crushed on top of him, before Dex stomps him unconscious. Throughout the sequence, the camera presents them in a level angle, but here is when it finally changes to seeing Matt from above, seeing him at the disadvantage he's been at throughout, frankly, the entire sequence. And we get a view of Dex of almost directly straight up, showing the power dynamic in this fight. Dex has well and truly gotten the better of Matt. It shows his power and achievement in this fight, which then of course leads to Dex killing Jasper Evans. And what this does as well is kind of show that Fisk was levels ahead. He was well aware that Jasper Evans would end up here. It was a lamb brought to the slaughter that Matt fell for. Following the physical fight, we see the mental harm that this does to Matt. The next episode, he's drenched in blood, infuriated that he couldn't see it coming, and startled that Fisk has managed to find someone so specific that can deal with Matt's own expertise. And something fascinating is that Matt never really gets the better of Dex. He gets really close, but one-on-one, he never really does. In the end, it's Fisk who incapacitates Dex. And even in the church, it's Karen who knocks him off the balcony. And so that leaves us with the question that when Born Again rolls round, will that pattern be still ongoing?
This city can't go unchecked.
Fisk has become a figure that where Dex dons the horns in Fisk, where Dex dons the